I'm glad that you were able to pull together some information about the 1960s, and of course you were working for the Eagle Tribune at the time, so you have a tendency to save things, and I'm glad that we were able to talk about this for a little bit. Tell us about some of the information that you have in front of us here.
So what I did at the time was I collected a whole bunch of newspapers that all basically were covering the story from their own time. But if they weren't dated the 22nd, I didn't save them. I only saved them. I do that frequently. I did it for when Nixon resigned.
Oh, did you? Right.
When Obama was elected to the first term, things like that. Because they get to be historical items. But I did bring you one.
To store them? Where do you get to store all this stuff?
I have.
And how do you store it?
I have bins, like plastic bins you can get at the store. And, I have books and papers, and I probably have 24 newspapers from the assassination.
Wow, wow.
All the Boston papers, they retooled. Even the Eagle Tribune came out with an extra edition. But I did bring you the Eagle Tribune because it's the local thing on that. At the particular time, I was in Salem, Massachusetts, covering a murder trial.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
Yes, and I filed a story over the telephone in those days. You didn't have computers. We didn't have rewrite men either, so I had to dictate the stories. Covering a trial, you'd do a morning story, do an afternoon story, and then hope everything was right.
Yeah, that's true. At the time, they did have two a day.
There was the morning was the Eagle, and the afternoon paper was the night. So this particular paper says extra on it. It's the story of the assassination. My story on the trial.
Okay.
It was fortunate
Just happened to be
that particular day, all of the testimony ended at about 11:30. The judge at the time indicated that was too late in the morning for him to hear any motions that people wanted to make or give his charge to the jury. So he was going to recess for lunch, which he did. So they took the jury out, and the old Superior Court in Salem, Mass. You went out the front door, went 30 yards down the street. There was a main street and a restaurant on the corner. So we went there. They had done this every day. Sequestered the jury in a closed room behind, and the media that were there, and there was probably 6 or 8 newspapers there, went into the bar section, away from the thing. So that's where I was sitting.
Away from the courthouse, you mean?
About 100 yards maximum from the courthouse. Now, at the particular time in the 60s and that, it was getting pretty obvious that the next campaign was going to be Kennedy versus Goldwater. There were a million jokes going around at the time. And our waitress, just taking our food order, came running over and said, did you hear about the president? And to a man, all of us said, oh, not another joke. She said, no, really.
It's serious, right?
And then I noticed the bartender jumping on the bar and turning on the TV. So, and of course, Cronkite went on giving the broadcast. Shots had been fired, blah, blah, blah. Well, we all got up and ran out of the thing, going back to call our papers. And every car on the street was stopped. And people were around the cars listening to the thing.
There you go. There's a picture of it right there.
First sentence, President Kennedy was shot and fatally wounded.
Assassinated.
This came out mid-afternoon to late afternoon. They just replated this part of the front page. Everything else stayed the same.
Your article was on the left-hand side
right
of the
next to his picture
of the bulletin of the president.
This story that's right next to him. Because of what had happened, I transmitted all of that by phone. Now, of course, at this stage, we didn't know anything about Lee Harvey Oswald.
Right. Okay.
Subsequently, later in the day and earlier by the next morning, Lee Harvey Oswald's name was all over the newscast.
Right, on the next.
JFK was in Dallas approximately 3.5 hours. From the time he landed till the time he was carried back onto the airplane.
Wow. Wow.
That's all the time he was there. A lot of things happened in those 3.5 hours.
For sure, for sure.
I was fortunate enough to get copies of the congressional records.
Wow.
This particular one probably is one of the shortest copies of the congressional record ever.
And why is that?
And this is on Monday, November 25th, 1963. Number 191 issue of the year of this record.
Yeah.
And basically it talks about the House and the Senate. They had both voted on Friday, because kind of a short day for them,
Right.
to recess to Monday. The Senate had voted to recess until noontime.
Yeah.
What happened, and this thing explains, because this is both the House and the Senate record in this little document. The Senate held a special session of the majority leader and his whip, and the Republican minority leader and the whip, to hold a session to change the session for that Monday to 10 a.m.
Yeah.
So that they could go to the 12 o'clock funeral. Of course, they're in the Senate and in the House, and the funeral service is in the chamber to go to the church. So getting to the place on time wasn't going to be a problem.
I thought it was intriguing, that whole situation. I mean, it was one thing that it was the assassination of a president, and such a popular president. But I mean, the Lee Harvey Oswald and the Jack Ruby and that whole thing, and the rumors that was a conspiracy or whatever, was quite a layered situation. I mean, it was just remarkable to see it on TV or listen to it on radio, and have all these things happen all because of that.
Still a great number of people that believe that it was more than one person.
Right, right.
Now, perhaps it was in terms of planning and all that other stuff. There's been no hard evidence that there was any more than one shooter.
That's right. It seems as though, I mean, all the evidence seems to still point towards Oswald as being the one and only shooter.
Well, I've been in the book depository in that room, looked out that window. He didn't have one of those guns you see on TV all today with the sniper scopes and that kind of thing. Right. To fire off and get the accuracy on that, he had to be a pretty good shot. But he was a small arms expert in the Marine Corps, whatever. In the middle of the road out front, there's a gold stake in the road.
Oh, is that right?
Where the back of the president's car was. And, walked up the knoll and did all of those good things. This is a more normal size of the congressional record.
Okay.
This happens to be the one for December 5th.
Okay.
Okay. Just a few days later. This volume here, the first page is 22,226. That's the number of pages that have been printed for the year, at this particular time. Right. The big thing is the 26. Starting at page 31, 22,231, the eulogies of members of the House.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Printed all the way through.
Wow.
The thing. That's why it's so big. Wow. And they're all in there. They also have established a right back in here, the short one, that the eulogies of both sides would be compounded into a official document and issued, as well as appearing one time in the congressional record. And there are books out that have every eulogy of every member of the House and every member of the Senate.
Does it ever come out? Well, did it ever come out with the discussion about the Warren Commission or any of that stuff?
This one is the book of December the 10th.
Okay.
Now remember, that's less than a month since the assassination and the funeral and all of that. In this particular congressional record, on December the 10th, they vote to establish a commission to investigate the assassination, which becomes the Warren Commission.